Welcome to Fact or Freestyle.
People love Dave Nourie, and they always answer the phone when he calls. When we get him on Zoom, we ask him to confirm rumors.
Let's see how far down the rabbit hole we go.
Stress to my life. I'm trying to get Lee Reynolds on. This is not just any old rider. This guy, he paved the way between freestyle and DJing. He was like the master.
All right, can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Ow.
Yeah. What up, guys?
Lee, what's going on?
How's it going, Dave? How's it going, Joe?
What's up, man?
You know, doing my thing.
Yeah. How's the Santa Cruz life? You're in Santa Cruz, is that right now?
I'm in San Francisco now.
Okay.
Yeah,
nice.
I moved into the Mission.
Nice.
Yep.
And are you doing more gigs again?
I'm doing gigs again. Yeah. I was just in Miami and Mexico, and I was in Phoenix a couple of weeks ago, and then I have the next couple of weeks off, and then it gets busy.
Right. I'm so glad and so appreciative of you making some time, because I know that you're traveling and you're still just taking numbers.
Yep.
I know how you operate, Lee. Come on.
Yeah. Try and do it all, you know.
Yeah. So I think you know a little bit about the premise of the show. This is Joe Sickman. Yep. And make sure that it's clear that you say sick men, because some people say cismen.
Because I say cisman, but Dave busts my balls and calls me sickman, and everyone now calls me sickman.
I like sickman.
Yeah, exactly. Right. He's a sick ass rider. He does a lot of really crazy new school, high tech rolling tricks.
Nice.
Like in a nutshell.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
And so, Joe and I just started doing this, and we're just having a blast. This is going to be episode, I don't even know, in the 20s, right, Joe?
It'll be, it's in the high 20s.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we've been doing a lot. We've just been like going down the list, calling people. Well, Lee, because we've reached out to you before, and your name has come up, and we just love hearing stories and kind of confirming rumors, and that's kind of the whole premise.
Perfect.
So, Joe, what do we want to start with Mr. Reynolds?
Fact or freestyle? Bob Harrow is an over gripper.
I think we'll start with fact or freestyle. Bob Harrow was an over gripper.
Is it what?
An over gripper.
An over gripper. What does that mean?
When Bob Harrow first shakes your hand, when he first meets you, he gives an excessively strong handshake, and he catches you off guard.
He's stronger than he looks, right?
Do you have experience with this? Have you heard about this game that he plays?
I'm trying to remember the first time I shook Bob Harrow's hand, but I guess you're right. He's an over gripper.
Boom. Okay, there's another one.
He does not lack confidence, that man.
Kevin Martin had mentioned that he not only likes to really give a nice firm handshake, he looks you right in the eye.
He looks you right in the eye. He's definitely
pulls you in, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When Large Ray heard about it, Large Ray was like, man, I wish I would have known that years ago. That's probably why he's so successful, because he's always about like making that connection, So
yeah. I love Bob. I haven't seen him for a while, actually, but I used to when I did live in San Diego, I'd always bump into him here and there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, he's got the whole, him and Dom are doing another issue of the Birth of Freestyle. He's got the shoe out now. He's doing some pretty cool stuff.
Fuck yeah. Right on, Bob.
So what else do we want to share and talk to you about? Oh,
All right, factOrFreestyle. Joe Johnson had ants in his pants when he invented the vert tail whip.
I just have a little random one. Do you think Joe Johnson had ants in his pants when he did the first tail whip?
I don't know what he had in his pants, but I mean, I have so much respect for Joe. I was just thinking about him the other day, and like the time that I got to like spend with him. Like we lived together. You know, we both lived in the Ramp House for a little while, and yeah, I learned so much from Joe. And actually, I keep in touch with him. I do see him now and then too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, definitely had ants in his pants. I know that.
Well, you know, he denied. Joe denied it for a while, but we showed him evidence, and I think it's pretty well known that he did have ants in his pants, and you're validating that.
I'm validating it. I checked his underwear.
Did you tour with Joe at all? Were you on the road?
We did a few shows together. We actually like when him and I were living together, he got us this gig in Wisconsin. Yeah, Green Bay, Wisconsin, playing for like this motorcycle shop. Well, it's mostly motorcycles, some BMX, but they built this they specially built like a half pipe outside for us, and we flew out from California, and it was like it's snowing. It was actually snowing there that weekend.
Oh shit!
Yeah, I remember. And the ramp they built was super sketchy, and we like somehow pulled off this show in the snow. And that was the only time I really traveled with him. Well, we went to Paris together too for the 2-hip contest in '89.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah, I remember him talking about riding his ramp. I think it was on skis when it was snowing. He would like drop in. I don't know. Oh, Kevin, is that Kevin Martin on the? Kevin, how'd you get this link?
Is that Kevin?
Kevin,
how's it going?
What's up, buddy? It's Reynolds.
Look at that, Mr. Martin.
What's up, pal?
In the flesh, you know, just fucking doing my thing, getting used to, I'm like single for the first time in fucking what, like 30 something years. So
it's not too bad.
I'd like to say I'm making the most of it, but I'm not. I'm really not actually.
Wait, what does that mean when you're single, Lee? Does that mean that you just have one partner, or? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I might have overdone it a little bit with that one, but you know. Okay. Now I'm realizing that that two partners was too many. Single.
I'm glad you felt that out for us.
Yeah. I definitely felt it out.
What's up, buddy?
Dude.
Sorry.
Kevin, thanks for joining us. You know the rap, so you know what we're up to. And one of the reasons I thought it would be cool to get Kevin on with you, Lee, is because Kevin shared a nice story. I never was on a tour where the van actually caught on fire. Wow. There's a lot of stuff that happened on the van, but never the van on fire. And Kevin told this story, and Kevin's really good at telling stories. And
he's the best.
I'm pretty sure it's all like completely on point. But I just
he never exaggerates or
no.
and he never embellishes.
Not at all. And we just want to make sure when people drop names such as like Lee Reynolds, we just want that person to have the opportunity to either defend or confirm. You know, it's the whole Factor Freestyle theme. Yeah. And so, Kevin, why don't you just give a short version of what you shared with us about convincing Haro, and I think it was Bill Hawkins, let him rest in peace. That conversation with Bill.
I did not know that Bill Hawkins had passed away, so that's a news to me right there.
A year ago, about a year and a half.
It's been a couple of years. Yeah, it's been a couple of years.
Yeah.
Damn, I really lost touch with him. Yeah, damn, that sucks. I was just thinking about him the other day. Fuck. Well, there you go. my friends are dropping like flies these days, so no surprise.
There's that. Yeah, smoke, light them if you got them.
I mean, why is it? Yeah, just light
Luckily,
it up.
luckily, I have my own health. I have a health regime that I stick to, and I saw a doctor a couple of years ago because I had to get health insurance because it was cheaper than not having it, you know. And she basically told me, Mr. Reynolds, whatever you're doing, keep doing it. So
Nice.
So I'm actually under doctor's orders to continue with my debaucherous lifestyle.
Okay, so Kevin,
you're
give
the
us a
Keith
snapshot.
Richards of BMX.
Yeah. No doubt. So part of this story that they're asking specifically about, I'll refresh your memory, Lee, was when we finally landed in that bed and breakfast in that little four-corner town in Kansas or Iowa, wherever the heck it ended up being. And we had to wait out the 3 hours because the fire happened so early in the morning. We had to wait California 2 hours, wherever we were. But we had to wait the time change out. We knew that they got breakfast tacos, what time they would be in, blah, 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 blah. And we finally, like, we talked about the call. We talked about who was going to make the call. We talked about what we would say in the call. And all three of us, me, Jess, and Lee, all agreed that we were going home. We'd had enough of it. And that was the final straw. That was 50,000 miles, a whole summer, and other mishaps and things. So we were all ready to go. And so when we finally made the call, Bill Hawkins' immediate reaction was total denial and you're full of shit. And as I recall, you'll have to confirm or deny it. I think it took us several phone calls throughout the day to convince Lee and Bob that the van, in fact, was completely gone. Yeah,
that's true. And I've also been accused of everyone thinks I was smoking weed for some reason, which is not true. Was not true because I didn't start smoking weed until about a year after that.
What really did happen?
And haven't stopped ever since.
No, I agreed. There was no drugs in that period of time.
No, not at all. We were good boys that summer.
Well,
so what happened?
Well, yeah.
How did it catch fire then?
The transmission overheated.
Was it a bad transmission?
Yeah, I mean, these guys, Jess and Kevin were fast asleep in the back, and I was just fucking. We were absolutely in the middle of nowhere, and I wanted to get home, and Kevin and I were used to fucking long road trips because we drove from San Diego to Schenectady, New York one time, nonstop, 60 hours, just the two of us, like sleeping. One of us slept, one of us drove. So we were just, I was on a mission, and all of a sudden I looked like behind us, just a trail of dense black smoke behind us. And I thought the wheel on the trailer was rubbing because it happened. Our tour started even before we got to our first show. We lost a wheel on the trailer, and it was the same thing. It was like smoke behind. So I thought the same thing had happened. And I pulled over, went back, like leaned to the back to wake them up. And then by the time I leaned forward, you could just, the whole front, all you could see in front of us was flames. It like moved to the engine, and the engine caught on fire. And we literally just grabbed our shit, jumped out. Jess didn't even have a pair of shoes on him. And, unfortunately, we lost it. Yeah, I mean, I think the most tragic thing that we lost was the collection of boobies that we, the collection of boobie photographs, because we made a pact. We made a pact when we left California that we couldn't cross a state line until we got a photo of a pair of boobies. So we had So we had the whole.
We doubled back.
We doubled back. We were.
Georgia or Alabama,
Florida. I think we're about to enter Florida from the south, and we had to like double back, and like we found a what's it? Well, like a
bunch of girls working at a Dairy Queen.
Dairy Queen, yeah, it was a Dairy Queen, and we went in, and they were like sorry, we can't help you. And we're like, God damn it! And we jump in the van, and this sweet little girl comes running out, and she's like, you know what? I can help you guys.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then it got even worse when we got into Florida. I remember we had that girl that we were driving around with, giving Jess a. Yeah.
I can't confirm or deny any of this.
Yeah, I can confirm it. my life is full transparency at this point, so I'm not worried about anything.
Not quite mine. I still swore an oath to protect the public, so I'm not quite there yet. I got about 5 more years, and then we're gonna write a tell-all.
Oh man, we're gonna set a clock then, Kevin.
Dave, you could title it. I'll give you editorial control. It could be "Life in a BMX Tour Van in the 1980s."
Oh man,
that was a fun summer. That was still one of the funnest summers of my life, even though my life's pretty good right now. But
so another story that Lee just touched on, Dave, which you guys should hear really quick. Is that drive we did for 2 Hip from San Diego to Schenectady. You could literally write a screenplay about that drive. It was legendary in so many ways, but it was tough. We were, of course, underpowered in the van or the car and the whole thing. But my favorite memory of that drive was there was another guy with us. And at the time, there was no way to listen to music other than the radio and whatever tapes you had. And we had 3 tapes. And because we had like a dual gas tank in the dually, we didn't drive for tanks of gas because a tank of gas could last 13 hours. But what we did do was we would drive for plays of the tape. And we had 3 tapes that we listened to for 68 hours. And we would drive to like a dozen plays of the tape. Lee, tell them what they were.
Guys, it was Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction.
Brand new.
The Call, Electric, and
Brand new.
And Violent Femmes, right?
That was it.
Yeah.
Wow. That's good, man.
And it's awesome because every time I hear any song from any of those albums, I just go back to that. And we literally were like, all right, fuck it. I'll drive for 14 plays of Appetite for Destruction.
Yeah.
Fucking great times. But anyway.
And was that it wasn't on that. It was, we also did another epic road trip shortly before that. We did the Austin road trip too, where we drove the ramp out there and like
oh my god. Oh god. No.
Yeah.
Hey man, we gotta help each other on the road. You know that.
Exactly. You gotta take care of your bodies.
Oh, you should have had some Amy goggles on to be prepared.
It was all happened at a truck stop. What can I tell you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy. Like we've asked various different riders kind of how they felt looking back and even now, if you're still considering like what your almost like your stake of claim or what you really felt like was your drive to ride and perform. I mean, Mike Parente said it was really about finding all the women. That's what it is. Yeah, but I don't want to assume that with you, Lee. You know, for me, it's like it was all about entertainment and being a showman. Like for sure, that's what.
For me, definitely, that's what it was about, and the adrenaline rush and like pushing myself. But it's funny that you'd ask that because like someone asked me the other day when I realized when did you realize that music was your greatest obsession? And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I don't think music is my greatest obsession. I think people are my greatest obsession. And like music's the best way I've found to connect with people. But BMX was also like a great introduction to that. And BMX was just a great way to fucking meet people. And I have friends all over the world still because of it, you know? And I just think being part of a community is like one of the most important things for people, you know? A lot of people turn to religion to be a part of a community. And if you know, it's like that there's better ways, you know, to have a community. And that's like a big part of Desert Hearts, the festival I throw, is that we have this huge community and we try and look out for each other and like, you know, whatever. I try and be a role model as much as I can, whatever that means.
Yeah. How about you, Kevin? How would you answer that question? Your overall, what's been driving you? What's your kind of claim to fame?
I'd say for me, it's similar in some ways. Like, I mean, you know, when I started riding BMX, it was like in the 70s and it was Evel Knievel and that was the focus. But once I latched on to, you know, once I saw a quarter pipe and I realized that there was this universe. I mean, of course I was addicted to the excitement of riding and the taking chances and, you know, getting through it and somehow pulling a trick off. I got addicted to that for, until about a month ago. So I had a pretty bad injury in the last few months, which almost cost me my career. So, and it was and I just fell, but I just decided at 53, I can't be jumping the biggest jumps of my life. I'm downhill mountain biking now and jumping 40-foot sets of doubles. And it's just like, my career is at a pivotal point where I need to kind of finish it off. And this almost interrupted that. So I've sort of turned a page, but I would, back to your original point, BMX to me became like this roving group of friends. And I found this way to have this commonality. Yeah. And we had all these
and I have my bag
all over the world. And, you know, and that carried on through everything. And like Lee said, the friends that we made in the 80s, like here we are chatting about details that we haven't talked about together in 30 years. And we remember the whole thing. It was that important in our lives. And I realized the value of that. And that's why I've kept these friendships and you know, cultivated these relationships for life, because these are our lifelong friends and we had lifelong experiences together.
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw something recently that talked about like, you could quit smoking, you could, you know, quit drinking, you could lose weight, all these factors that you're, you know, told will help your life, you know, longevity and live longer lives. But the number one thing was community. And it's interesting, Lee, that you talked about the faith-based, because I feel like a lot of people tap into that, and that's great, because I feel like it's doing the world a good. But
I respect.
Yeah, exactly. I respect it too, and it's the value of it is just amazing. And I just think about Bill Nitschke's calling me right now.
I feel bad for all of our friends that weren't able to find anything, like when the BMXing was over and, like, you know, went down dark paths, you know, like rest in peace Jason Davis. He just passed away, and I know he pretty much drank himself to death, but also, you know, I have, like, you know, probably a dozen friends that have, like, taken their own lives because they just didn't, like, fucking have something to rechannel their energy into, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. And I, you know, and like you said, Lee, with you and all of us, like Dave, you still found your focus, your love of the sport and all that stuff. And I've taken mine into different directions. But it goes back to those formative years that we all kind of became a community, and we all like, you know, we helped each other fix our bikes, and, you know, we always wanted to see the next guy get to the next road trip, and, you know, what are we talking about? And then of course we all lived together in a bunkhouse in Leucadia that sort of solidified that. And that was the final bridging of England, Great Britain, and the United States was on that property at 1231.
Yeah. I mean, I mean, I've been in California 33 years now, and obviously it wouldn't have happened if I hadn't connected with Kevin and been able to, like, let me stay there in the ramp house, and the connections I made, you know, it's like, that's, you know, I'm where I am now because of that. So
yeah.
Hey, Joe, what about you? Answer that question. Your stake of claim, your passion, your drive, like what keeps you going?
Well, the answer that I would have given several months ago was that I'm learning tricks that are incredibly painful to learn, and they're incredibly painful to dial. And I'm using that to make sure that no one else does the tricks, because who the hell would be willing to do that? And so, but for the past couple of months, I have been forcing myself to learn how to ride on the other side. So, like, ride with my left leg. And it's so frustrating, but I've been doing it for so long now, I actually can't give up. So it's like, what was that? The general lands the army on the New World, and he says, burn the boats, because you guys are not going back. And so I'm at the point right now where I can't give up, because I've let so much other stuff sort of fall by the wayside. It's go right or go home. And so and I guess for me, it was this, I mean, it wasn't really for glory, because if you're just doing regular tricks on the right side, it's not like it's amazing, but like I'm reforming everything. And I guess that's kind of like
Are you around?
the thing that I'm really stoked on is actually digging deep. And that's what's keeping it going right now.
I remember having a few years away from the scene, and then coming back at one point and starting writing again a little bit, and like all of a sudden, like everyone could do it. Like everyone, all the good writers, they could do everything the opposite way. Like all of a sudden, everyone could do everything both ways on Vert, which was like had been like unheard of. That was like legendary status if you could go both ways. And then all of a sudden, like now everyone's better than me going the fucking wrong direction. Jesus.
Yeah, but that's I did the same thing when I became an avid snowboarder in the 90s, and I lived in Colorado, and I was riding like 50, 60 days a year. When I learned how to ride, I at a certain point would learn how I would spend whole days riding switch. Yeah. Just to get used to the body mechanics of it and the turning of it. And you know, I kind of wish I tried that when I was younger. I guess we all do. Like in BMX, like you said, is just like if we'd have learned that then, but then it wasn't a thing. You know, we were riding 4 different disciplines trying to. You know?
And that's the crazy thing too, is like as soon as like something could seem completely impossible, and as soon as one person does it, then like everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. Like the barrier has been broken. And
yes,
like,
right. It takes a bunch of guys standing around to go,
yeah,
oh shit. And then of course, like you said, everybody gets to go home for the next 6 or 8 weeks and try to dial that shit in for the next contest. But it was always that one guy that pulled it off. Like I follow a bunch of Flatland guys on Instagram, like everybody, and Flatland blew my mind, what they've done with it, where it's gone, all of it does. But Flatland in particular, as somebody that spent a lot of time riding Flatland, and you know, you see these guys riding and they are spinning and doing shit in different ways. And I think back to Kevin Jones in '87, and when he like blew the lid off of Flatland BMX in one weekend.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, I know, insane. I keep in touch with John Yull too. He's like, and like it blows me away that he's still fucking shredding, you know?
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna lose you guys for 1 minute, and I'll be back. I have to take this important phone call through work, but I'll be back.
Yeah, cool.
Cool, Kevin.
Back to what you said. It's not coming, but it'll come in, and I'll just disappear for a minute.
Oh, okay, got it.
But John Yull, John Yull is still doing it, still riding, and I keep in touch with John as well. He's one of my favorite people.
Yeah.
The nothing decade. That was so insane.
Yeah.
Nothing decade.
No break, nothing decade.
Oh, yeah. Foot jam, nothing decade.
And has anyone done it since? I don't know if anyone has actually done it since.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Wow.
With no breaks too, right?
Yeah. No breaks.
Yeah.
Like Flatlanders don't even use brakes. You know?
Dude, whenever I see Hoffman, I'm always like, yeah, I've been watching the videos, Matt. Just never thought about putting a brake back on there, huh?
Yeah.
Rolling, hitting it big.
Hey, what was the question we had for Lee about? Like you kind of paved the way, I think, from UK BMXer to like awesome DJ, and like I just want to hear how much you talked about a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
But how much you thought about that or planned that out?
I actually don't plan anything. That's like one of my things. I just do whatever I want, but when I feel like it. But I think it was just a perfect storm. I mean, I broke my ankle really bad in 1989. And I had no choice but to move back to England for a while. And when I moved back to England, all of my mates in my little village, Stony Stratford, they had stopped riding. And I started going out clubbing and getting. I was always into music, but I started getting more into music. And that started my path towards DJ. And then when I did come back to the US, the bottom had kind of fallen out of the BMX industry. There wasn't much going on. And I just slowly just transitioned into doing like graphic design and music and figuring out other ways to pay the bills, you know?
Yeah. Nice. And are you still riding at all, Lee?
The last time I rode was, I was in Australia just before COVID. I was down in Australia doing DJ shows, and I ended up having an Airbnb right on Bondi Beach. and I went out and the skate park was right there. So I posted a picture. I posted a picture of myself by the bowl, and I'm like, hey, anybody want to meet me here to ride? And like these three Aussie guys like hit me up, Mick Nealand and a couple of his friends, and they're like, yeah, we'll meet you there like Wednesday morning. We got a bike for you, whatever. And I rode the ball and managed to my Desert Hearts partners had never seen me ride before, and I hadn't ridden for about 2 or 3 years, but I managed to pull off like a one hand, one footer about 5 feet out. I got it on video. And,
nice.
Yep. Yeah. That's just kind of a scary bowl too. And I was hurting for fucking weeks afterwards too, because of it. Because, you know, it's like, it's like your muscle memory. It's like, I can still jump on a ramp and like start getting air, but when I crash, it is not pleasant these days.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Joe, what was some other things that we were thinking that we wanted to like chime in on?
Let me check. So Bill Nitschke had just rolled up, and
yeah, we kind of have a few faces, familiar faces here. Mr. Bill Nitschke, Todd Carter.
And then the guy that dropped you at the airport, remember? Cornhucken, we were 3 hours early.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
right.
Oh, yeah. It's a small world, folks.
It is. You
just walk around and you never know who you're gonna run into. Let's see who's in this car over here.
Where are you? You're in Portland, right, Dave? Or
hey, who's this? Hey, that's Joe Signer.
Oh wow!
What's up?
So all right, so RL. All right, so this is what we're doing today. So you guys know how I was kind of ripping on RL, roasting him for a lot of stuff. He shows up. So we're at a bike show. RL shows up at a bike show, and I showed up, and I signed an autograph for RL Osborne, and we got it on video. It was amazing. So then this dude walks up to me because I set up my own autograph table, which is ridiculous, just to be clear. And it was Dave.
No way.
He shows up with like this big hat, sunglasses, and a mask.
Wait, I'm going to put that really weird.
And I was like with this rusty old bike. And
look, this is the bike. This is my first
bike that he first did the Nourie handstand on. That
at AFA 1984. Yeah.
What?
So this was my look when I came up to see Joe. I had this hat on. It made me think of Lee Reynolds, actually.
I was convinced that like he had like a spinal injury or something like that, and I was like, he's like, will you sign my shirt? And I did. And I go, who should I sign it to? And he says something. I'm like, no, that's not. And he turns around, and I'm like, dude, you're kidding me. Where it was awesome.
And then we did the same thing. We did the same thing to RL, which was great because RL, I waited, got his signature. I said, hey, I'm a huge fan. I've been following you for years. You just signed my shirt, which I have one of his. This is the repop. Yeah. It's not the original.
Right.
And I had his shirt, so he signed it. And then Todd Carter was in on it. And he says, hey, Dave, why don't you do a trick with RL? Just take a photo and do a trick. And I said, oh, I'm really nervous. And I'm still got my whole gear on. And RL didn't know who I was. And then once I got on the bike and I started to balance, you could see him. He turned and looked at me like, wait a minute, who's this guy? And then I did a Nourie handstand. Yeah. It's like, you look like Dave Nourie.
That's hilarious.
It was so good. Yeah.
What's RL up to these days?
He's still, I think. Go ahead.
Joe. So his son set up a YouTube channel and an Instagram, and he's riding 26-inch, and he got one of those 26-inch Haros, and he figured that if he tweaked the head angle a little bit, it would be better. And he ended up cutting the head tube off and re-welding it. which, as you can imagine, shocked a lot of people. So he actually ended up doing that 3 times, because the first time the angle wasn't right and it was cocked off to the side. And that's what happens when you don't use a jig. And right.
That's how
and he's like, it took he's like he's like, I couldn't find any welders. Everybody was booked up. But the guy who cut it was the one guy who wasn't working for anyone else. So if that tells you anything.
Yeah.
I always think it's funny now that people have the luxury of like choosing their frame to be like a 1/4 of an inch longer, this, that. And like people get really hung up on like, oh, this bike's not the right size for me. And then I think back to like some of the kid, like in England growing up, like, you didn't have a choice, right? Like it was the same bike for Flatland and Vert. Like you didn't have that luxuries. And some of the people that shredded the most, like Carlo Griggs, was just this like little tiny kid on like, riding the same size bike as like some of these like tall motherfuckers. And like, he didn't, it didn't stop him from shredding, it's like,
yeah. So Lee, I wanted to mention a name, and I just curious if you had much of a encounter or relationship, back in UK. I guess it would have been prior to you coming out, obviously. So Lee,
what did you hear?
The truth will set you free.
I heard that he.
Oh God!
That was the rumor.
We don't want. No, we don't want to go there.
Right. I always thought that Vert was the epitome of BMX. It was like for me, anyways, just because I liked, I grew up on Evel Knievel, and it was all like getting big air, and I loved Flatland, but I was like, it was too fucking hard. You have to practice way too much to be a good Flatlander.
Yeah.
But but it's funny how like Vert has taken a back seat when but that's the way it is.
Yeah. Joe, what else did we have for Mr. Reynolds or Martin? Oh, well, we're thinking Martin. I know you just have. I'd like to hear stuff about the Enchanted House. I kind of get the gist of the scene there because it was all BMXers. Yep. Wilkerson didn't live there. He rented it to you guys, and I have a feeling it was like 6 to 8 guys. Like, just give us
never less than 8.
Okay, so that's our Factor Freestyle. Like, was the Enchanted House, always 6 riders, or was it more?
So I ended up, I think maybe we touched on this with Johnson, but what ended up happening was I kind of coattailed Joe Johnson into renting the house from Ron, because Joe was on Team Aro, and I knew Ron a little bit, but last minute Johnson got cold feet, and I had already committed to moving to California because I got mugged on the bus, and I was like, and it was like the 6th time I got mugged in my teenage years, and I was like, you know what, I gotta get out of here. And I was starting to travel a lot with BMX, and I knew everybody. And so Joe last minute backed out, and I was devastated because I literally only had about 2 paychecks. I think me and the guy who moved out with me ended up having about $1,200 between the 2 of us. And the day we arrived, so Joe backed out. And then one night I was sitting at home and my phone rang, and my brother's like, "Hey, Ron Wilkerson's on the phone." And I was like, "Oh yeah, okay, Ron Wilkerson's on the phone," because my friends did that kind of stupid shit. And it ended up being Ron who he understood. Yeah, hilarious. And like, "Oh yeah, who is this? Go fuck yourself." Oh, it is Ron. Ron, what's up? So Ron asked me if I was still interested in coming, and of course I jumped on the opportunity because he'd heard that Joe backed out. So me and my buddy flew to LA. Our friend went to USC, and he drove us down in his pickup truck with everything we owned, which was our bikes and our clothes. And I didn't know a lot of things about renting a house, and one of them was I didn't know you didn't get a phone, power, furniture, cooking utensils. Like, I thought you just go into a house and everything was there. And so it was a hard learning experience. But the funniest part, so the first day I was there, I had to spend $800 on rent. It was me and Rocky. So we only had $400 left. So we immediately took on Haji as our roommate because he was friends with Spike. And Haji came in, and he had a job at Airwalk. And then I would say, Lee will have to confirm this, I would say about a month later, Lee popped up. Yeah, so when Lee and his buddy Howard, I think, was with you, Howard Ratcliffe.
Yeah.
showed up at the house, and we all just were broke, scrambling for ways to make money. And so the more people we had, the cheaper it was. Yeah. So, and we just started piling guys on, and Ron was riding there every day because now he was a dad up the hill with 2 babies. And so he came down and he would ride, and he really didn't have much of a problem with it. But along the way, we just took on everybody. We got to a point with the British guys because Lee started the British invasion, and then we got Jason.
Wait, just can I stop you? Wait, can I stop you there? Joe, did you just hear what Kevin said? Can you please mark that video? So Lee
started the British invasion.
Yeah, because I thought that was okay. Go ahead, continue, Kevin.
So if my memory serves correctly, Lee, I think you came with John Yull and Howard Ratcliffe, because that's how I met John, was through Lee. And
John came a couple of months later. Yeah,
that's right. And so yeah. He wanted to know if I could stay with you, and then you guys were just there with no plan. And then I would say within about 6 months, we had about a half a dozen to 10 British guys. So many that we ended up forcing them to get an apartment down the street because we didn't have enough space. And we had a good dozen British guys riding with us every single day, 365 days a year. And most guys stayed indefinitely. And we called the apartment down the street, was the British Embassy. And it was like, it was Jason Hassel, and Jason
Andy
Ellis,
Brown, and Graham Marfleet.
Yep.
Who else?
And so that was my sort of indoctrination into my British roots, and it was awesome because we just did so much riding. And then of course some of us would go to the 2-hip or the FA contest and come back. So we would all get there whatever way we got there, and then we would all come back and we'd ride more and learn new tricks, and we just started to develop all these friends and just a huge community. But the funnier, like down the road, I think I probably lived there for about maybe 2.5 years. And then Ron wanted to sell the house. And I remember asking him one day, and this is so hilarious. I said, hey, is there any chance we could get that deposit back? And it was like an $800 deposit, dude. This house, this white carpet in this fucking house was destroyed. Like, I mean, you talk about grease and holes in it and all this stuff. There was holes in the walls. We had parties with 150 people. Like, we were having a great. There was bullet holes. We were shooting guns in the house. And
I was just going to mention that story about how fucking how our roommate Rocky almost shot Kevin one night coming.
No, that was John Byers who had Rocky's gun.
Oh God, oh God. Oh, that's right. Oh my God.
So anyways, I'll get to that story in a second. But what ended up happening with Ron, he was very nice about it. He goes, "You want a deposit back?" He goes, I just sold this house for $30,000 less than it was worth because of the conditions." I was like, don't worry about it then. Keep that in 800.
We're good.
But I mean, that house was like one end of that house, Dave. I don't know if you remember it. One end of that house to the other had about a 6-inch drop. Like that whole side of the house had sunken in. And so like you could literally set a basketball at one end of the room and it would go across.
It was the jankiest house ever. It was like,
oh my God. It's amazing. Like, it's not even a house. It was like 2 trailer parks that crashed in an intersection and they welded them together.
So good.
But then, John, back to what Lee was saying, John Byers ended up being a permanent guest of ours. And my roommate, Rocky, he was the first person I ever knew that had guns. And he slept on the couch with a 45 under his pillow at all times. And so we would go shooting the guns in the woods sometimes and stuff like that. But he didn't carry or anything. He just owned it. And so at the time, somebody was not vandalizing our house, but somebody was terrorizing our house. We had
just gotten a bunch of bikes stolen. There were people
Yeah. So I went to work, and when I came home from work that night, unbeknownst to me, they were in the house, and whoever was fucking with their house was banging on windows and scaring them. So one of the roommates was John Byers, who grabbed Rocky's 45, and they went down the hallway. So in between me using the spare key coming home from work and opening the door and putting it back, I guess they were calling my name. And as I entered the house, I heard a gunshot and saw a flash and realized that the window about 4 feet away from me had been shot out. And they thought I was the intruder.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
we ended up catching the people that were harassing us, and when cops came and everything, it was a mistaken identity. This guy's wife was staying with our neighbor, and he thought it was our house, and we caught him. He went down the dead end street and came back, and we were throwing wrenches at his car and shit. And then the cops came up and they caught the guy, and we were just caught in the middle of some domestic weirdness, man. It was like crazy.
That's insane. Hey guys, I just have to say,
I was only coming on vacation, by the way, too. That was like 33 years ago. And I always tell people I'm still figuring out ways to extend my vacation and not get a real job and go home.
Yeah, there you go. You've done well.
I've done it. So far, so good.
Joe, was there anything else? I mean, we've covered a lot, and I know that we had some other thoughts that we might want to pick these brains.
Well, okay, so we heard
Fact or freestyle? Fuck. Back in the day, there was an agency that taught riders to mouth pose in order to get coverage in the liberal elite BMX media, which I probably became part of. Sorry.
Lee.
Yeah.
We heard that you worked with an agency in the UK that taught people how to mouth pose so that they could get coverage in magazines.
I should start an agency and show people how to pose. I've been working on this shit for years, dude. I've been trying to teach my Desert Highs partners how to take a good photo. You know, it's important. But no, I'm completely self-taught. Like the first week that I was at the Ramp House, I was doing a photo shoot with Spike Jones, and I think things were going pretty good until I was doing a turn down. I remember it specifically. I was doing a turn down, like fucking looking down at the ramp, and I couldn't quite click out of it in time, and I fucking face planted so hard on the flat bottom that like I smashed my tooth pushed up through my lip, tore my lip apart. I smashed both my front teeth out, and so I actually can't smile. I can't smile now because I have like scar tissue in my lip, and like see I can't like see what so.
Wow.
So I had to learn to smile with my eyes like this.
So maybe Joe, there was maybe someone also had contracts with riders for their eyes.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't just the mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wilkerson said that he was the one that started some agency that was mouth posers. Kevin, did you ever sign any agreement with Wilkerson?
I don't remember that agreement. I don't really remember any agreements with Ron. Ever signed.
Yeah. Everything with Ron was like a handshake and like hope for the best, you know, like fucking.
Dude, that's another book, Working for Ron.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He had a group of people, riders up to my house like a few years back, and they were touring, and they always came through here every time they were near New York. They would come through here for a couple of days, and he was leaving, and the guys were returning an RV, and then they were all going to fly home in a few days. And I remember eavesdropping and listening to the other room. He goes, "Well, Ron, how am I supposed to get from the place in Queens to the airport? And no, how do I get to the place in Brooklyn to Queens airport and all this stuff?" And Ron's like, "Oh, you'll figure it out." And I remember going, "Yup." That was my life with Ron, dude. You'll just figure it out.
Well, for me, obviously, I toured with Ron for many years on Haro. And then I toured one very, very different year of touring with Too Hip. And let's just say it was a completely different experience.
Oh, yeah, dude.
In so many ways. But I still love Ron to death, obviously.
Oh, my God, me too.
I actually just saw him not too long ago, like a month or two ago. He came out. We tried to find some trouble in San Francisco together, and we managed actually. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone in freestyle of my freestyle friends I talk to more than Ron Wilkerson.
Yeah.
We talk. We have checked in with each other every 2 weeks for 35 years now, and
that's amazing.
he's one of my favorite people, and we've gone through everything that life delivers, good, bad, or indifferent. We've shared it together, and we get together as many times as we can, and we're always a part of each other's lives, and it's nice. And I would consider him to be one of my best friends, which is kind of funny considering, like, you know, he was a celebrity when I met him. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy I saw in the first 2-3 years I knew who he was.
Yeah, and it's the one guy that you don't have an autograph on your wall.
That's right. And that is some bullshit. He was too good to sign that poster, Dave. He was too good.
He was too busy signing, you know, writing letters back to his fans, right? Because he always answered fan mail.
Oh, that was fun. When I worked for him, I saw the bags of fan letters that he would get. Bags of them.
Yeah, like, it's crazy. I remember him too. Joe, what was the one that we had heard about? I think it was another a writer that went DJ that said, I don't know, we heard something. I don't know who it was.
Maybe
but
Craig
there was
Campbell.
like
What did you say, Lee?
I said Craig Campbell.
I don't know. I just remember, like, Volker and I had this contest when we were on tour to see who could collect the most swatches. But then I think the UK writers had like another one of who could shag the most popular, like, figure in whatever, in movies or celebrity. Were you any part of that, Lee?
No. I mean, looking back, I'm like, I should have gotten more action than I probably did, but I always had a girlfriend.
How not humanly possible, Lee.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I lost my virginity when I got to California, and I made the most of it.
And Lee and I had a setup when we were going to Alpha Beta to go grocery shopping. Lee would literally walk around and stay about 20 feet away from me and turn around about every 10 minutes going, you know, we don't have these in Britain.
Yeah.
We don't have these in Britain. And they would flock to him like fucking moths to a flame. That motherfucker.
Yeah. It was fun.
I might see it.
One thing before we break. We started down this road, but we got diverted. So, Lee, that transmission, did I hear you say that it was defective or it needed to be warranted? What was wrong with that transmission?
I mean, I think it just had enough. We've just been hammering it all summer, and you know, faulty transmission. And that thing burned by the time the fire department got there, it was just a burnt out like chassis on the like fucking side of the road. It was nuts.
So we heard something a little bit different, and I don't know. I'm actually kind of surprised because you had mentioned it. Is it true that the transmission underwent 5 hours of running at 8,000 RPM?
Probably. I'd say that's true.
When it was left in a low gear to get over some hills.
Yeah. Maybe I forgot to take it out of like 2 and left it in. You know, maybe
you'll have to get a third on that with Jess Darenforth, but that I believe to be the truth of that night.
But in Lee's defense, I don't think they have 2s in England. So you know, like.
No.
It doesn't matter because it's the story of legend.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We were just so excited to get Rick Moliterno out of the van that we were like,
oh gosh. Okay, here we go.
And that's a joke, Rick, if you watch this, because I fucking love you. and I actually think I was the only one that didn't have issues with Rick that summer.
That's true. We did have fun. Rick was no doubt a hellion on the road in a lot of ways, man. He was the master of creating situations. Like he would Dave, you probably went through this. I know Spike caused shit a lot where all of a sudden something would happen and everybody
was a freestyle.
Yeah.
And also one of the most legendary fucking BMXers of all time. Like that, like I was like blown away with his riding that summer. That kid fucking rips so hard.
I toured with Rick Moliterno, just him and I. we did a Southern tour in the fall, and we had a hell of a lot of fun. But let's just say it was a lot different than traveling with Brian and Ron. Like Brian and Ron, we were so close. Every time an announcer would come on, they felt like the third wheel, even though it was the fourth wheel, because Ron, Brian, and I were just so, like inseparable. And we all just knew. I mean, we didn't even really practice our shows. We just knew like what we were going to do, and we'd come up with an idea. We'd try it in the show, and we'd talk about it afterwards. We're like, hey, that worked. Let's keep it. That kind of thing. Yeah. So that's how it kind of went. But
who would ever have guessed that fucking Brian would go on to be a cop?
I know.
Not Brian.
That took me a while to get my head around that one. I'm like, fucking Brian's a cop. We're truly fucked.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is, like, he's got a few years left. I think it's down to maybe 2 or 3 years. It's really coming down to where he's going to retire pretty soon. And I can't. Yeah, I'm very glad to hear that, because things are crazier and crazier these days.
Yeah.
It's been an amazing call.
No, just that, like, I'm just still stoked to be a part of the BMX community, and like love all the people I met, and fucking so stoked to see Kevin, and hopefully Kevin and I get to reconnect. Are you still in Connecticut?
I'm in New Haven. Yeah. So anytime you come to the New York City area, I can be there in an hour.
I'm actually playing a show in Brooklyn on the July 24th, I think.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Let me know. I'm going to be in Oregon actually next Friday.
Oh, nice.
I'll be there. You'll be in my heart forever.
Yeah, maybe Indy soon enough.
Yeah, I actually have a show coming up in Portland too, Dave. I'll hit you up.
Okay. Yeah, just send me a text, Lee, because Portland's like 5 hours from me, and I'll.
Oh shit! Well, yeah.
No, that's all good, Lee. That's fine.
So Sickman and Dave, when you're ready, Lee and I will have to put it down some way. But we should really unload all of our 2 hip travel stories, because they were the most.
I have some epic ones for sure.
Yeah, we kind of like to keep these an hour, because poor Joe, he has like the editing time in there. I have an arrangement. I'll be up front. Now, Joe, can you make sure to cut this out, because I don't want this to be public knowledge. But him and I have.
I swear on Eddie Roman.
Oh God, don't know that. Because Eddie always left it in there. Every time I'd say, hey, will you cut that out? He always leave it in the shot, anyhow. So our agreement is that I will take him out to lunch, buy him a salad and a water every 20 episodes that he edits. So that's our agreement. Oh, there's his leftover salad. So we're current right now, but I have to be respectful. I can't like just, have 3 hours of content. And it's all great, but we got to get it down to, the cream of the crop. So
the time I spend editing these, I cry laughing over and over these. It's so insane.
Yeah. Good shit. You did a great job on the one you did with me and Joe. I loved it. I laughed out loud. I watched it in the bunk room of the firehouse, and I literally giggled, and everybody's like, what are you doing? And the firehouse, they are so sick of my stories. It's been 20 years of stories.
Oh God, I can't imagine.
So sick. So yeah.
I love what Ray kept giving me a hard time about my tea, right? My double tea bags, and my big teacup. And then he was like, I told him, man, oh, Ray, I love you. And you know what his response was? Like, hey, he didn't say, oh, thank you. And, oh, that's so endearing. He's like, I got your picture I got 3 pictures of you on my wall. And like, Ray just was the best. I loved you two guys having.
So one of the best, if any good came out of losing Dave Nourie and Kevin Robinson was I lost touch with all those Philly guys, and me and the Philly guys have become really, really close in the last few years. And we just a couple years ago we went to the Spring Fling, and we drove down in an SUV, and it was like you went back in time to 1987, dude. It was so hilarious. It was the same exact fun. It was Lung and Gary and me, Ray, Warren. It was hilarious.
That's great.
Stan, my buddy Stan, awesome guys.
Okay, Lee, you kind of gave us our last words of wisdom, right?
I gave them to you, or you want some?
Or didn't you? I thought you said something. I can't remember. He's full of them. Okay, words of wisdom. 43 words of wisdom.
follow your heart. That's what I always tell people. Follow your heart and like do the things that you're passionate about.
Nice.
You know,
Joe,
life's too short.
Words of wisdom.
Yeah, we're gonna change the name of the show. Fact or wisdom.
Well, words of wisdom. Do everything you can to get your idols to stand in line for your autograph. I'm coming off a bus today because I did that to RL.
That's awesome.
Kevin, you've got lots of words of wisdom.
My words of wisdom, and it comes full circle because at this age, I believe that if you just keep positive people in your life, you can accomplish anything. And you have to stay away from toxic people. And it's obvious that all you guys are positive people in my life. And here we all are 35 years later. So that hats off to everyone. And I love you guys.
Love you too.
Yeah. Love you too.
Yeah.
Okay, my words of wisdom. Joe, you're supposed to ask me that so I don't have to look like I'm like,
What, Dave, what are your words of wisdom?
Oh, thanks for asking me. That's so nice of you. I would say that you take any opportunity and you like try to create the best moment. And I remember when we had Josh White on the show, he talked about his ramp riding, and it was all about pictures. And so he would like super extend himself, try to do like the craziest variations just for that photo. And I try to do that whenever someone like says, "Hey, nice to see you." Like
Earth to Dave.
Come back to it, Dave.
So Joe just killed my phone. This is what he does. I try to get a little moment in. I try to words of wisdom.
All right.
I'm crashing his party.
Dave, what are your words of wisdom?
I just say take the moment and like do the best you can to really embellish in it. And my point is, like, when someone wants to take a picture or something, I'm always like, well, why don't we get your bike out and why don't we do a trick together? Right. And like the times that I've done that, it's been just so memorable. And I think that's just true in life across the board.
I think always pushing through and like trying your best. Yeah, like you said, and like every opportunity is a blessing. And like some people don't get to do the things we're doing because maybe they were born in like the Middle East or somewhere where you can't really express yourself. And it's like I was born in a poor neighborhood, but like I was still born, a white guy in England. So I was able to like fucking take what I had and make the most of it. And life, like, it's just a blessing to be alive, and you shouldn't waste that, Like, it's like life is about experience. And I think the better job you do at experiencing life and enjoying life, then the better experiences come your way.
Nice.
Perfect. Well put.
Awesome. Cool, guys.
Bye, guys.
Thank you so much. We'll likely be doing this again.
Yes, please. That was a pleasure.
If I could have more than 15 minutes notice, I'd be wonderful.
Yeah, I know, Kevin. You're a rock star. You're a rock star.
If you guys are ever in San Francisco, I have a spare bed. So
okay, dope. Yeah, Joe wasn't gonna do the show because he was in the glamour world of RL, and I said we got it. We got Lee lined up, and then I thought, okay, we got to pull Kevin in. So
it's hard, it's hard to compete with RL Osborne,
Exactly.
We kind of grew up together on our own for the first time. We had a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
Nice. All right, guys.
All right.
Love you guys.
Lee, we'll talk.